Good afternoon, good morning, and good evening, and welcome back to our headquarters here in Ferl. Last night, the Canadian women's team saved the gold medal in the Olympic Games, and the storm Ilenia went through all over Germany. Despite both matters, Rob and I are back here on stage to present you the second part of the Intelligent Product Transport Days. And before we start with the actual presentations, we would like to have a look once again on the possible interactions. So if you're watching from our website, please do not hesitate to type in any kind of questions inside this beautiful chat window. If you're watching from LinkedIn, well, I guess the comment section is well known. Please also type in where you are watching from. Yesterday we had visitors from Kenya and from Pakistan and from Iran. So amazing to see how many people from which countries are watching our presentations, which we make here in Ferl. If you would like to meet one of us or anybody else inside the Beckhoff hemisphere and talk about specific things within automation technology or especially about XTS and Xts Planning, please contact meet@beckhoff.com and we will get a contact person in touch with you to talk about all that matters to you. Before we start, maybe a short look on our red line, which we want to put through all of the presentations of this week. We started yesterday by introducing to you how we usually make business. So we were talking about our natural relation to machine builders and to end customers. So usually we sell automation technology to machine builders, and with XTS and Xts Planning, the scope of people with whom which we are talking with expanded a little bit. So we have been more in contact with end customers and machine builders and end customers from all over the world, so literally all over the world, because Beckhoff is always very close to you, are talking with us about the challenges which they face. And they are not doing this just from one industry, they are also from very, very diverse industries, so car manufacturing, printing, show and stage, entertainment, it's really all over the place, and automation products in general, and XTS and Xts Planning in special, are used throughout all kinds of industries. To find a good story for this week, we looked on the challenges which we get told by our customers and end customers about certain markets, and we ended up with this graphic. This shows a couple of the big challenges with which end customers and machine builders see in different markets. And we would like to show within these presentations how we can help you solve some of these challenges with your next machine. Today, we would like to focus on some things which we can especially take care of by using XTS. First of all, it's about space requirements and footprint. If you have a shop floor or if you have a manufacturing building which is maybe inside an old town, so where you originated, and there is no space for further growth, then it might be worth looking into the customer-specific trajectories of the XTS system, because there you can utilize really every square inch of your system. The next point, which we would look afterwards on, is time to market reduction. This applies both for the product which is manufactured on the machine as well as on the installation, the setup and the development of the machine itself. Last but not least, we would like to look on a real game changer in our eyes, the NCT technology, which adds many new functionalities to the XTS system. But we would like to start with the XTS presentation about space requirements and machine footprint, and this will be once again brought to you by Rob Rawlick.
The challenge for every manufacturer is making more out of what they have, using the existing factory space that they have rather than going out, finding a new piece of land to put in a new factory. We want to use the existing factories that we have, and sometimes it's simply not possible to go buy more land. Houses have cropped up around us, zoning requirements, and even just the whole construction process takes time. Building a new factory is not easy. It's a lot better if I can use my existing factory in a new way. So let's take a look at an example that a customer actually has had. They have an existing factory and they've got existing product lines and production lines, and they now need to make a change. And we need to redo production line 2 because it's going to get not just one, but it's going to get 2 new products. So now, to make it all fit, we need to use our space efficiently, and we want to also increase the throughput. But the layout of everything is going to dictate where my machine can go. And sometimes it's not simply possible to rearrange everything and fit it all in. I need to make my machine fit where I have space. So I've got space in the middle, or I've got space down at the bottom, and I can bring in some more machinery, but how do I get it there? Do I build an over-top conveyor that brings it around? Well, if I use an XTS, I can simply make the XTS go where I need it to go. I put in a few curve modules, and I put in the stations that I need to have, and then I suddenly have a new production line that has more capabilities and fits around the existing equipment. And then I've made it so that I can run different products on the same machine, possibly at the same time, most likely independently, by integrating components that are used for products A and B, and having other components that are perhaps only necessary for product A. So things like Station 7, they are only used for product A, so when I'm producing that product, I'm providing those stations with movers and they're fulfilling their processes. But when I produce product B, I simply drive the movers by those stations. I don't end up parking a bunch of product in front of them. Could also be that when I do this change, I could do maintenance on the stations at 7 and while they're down, and I can work on those and keep product A running through the machinery. So with XTS and all the different curve variations that we have and the different modules, we can make pretty much any layout. We can make L's, we can make Z's, we can make T's, U's, circles, and in a lot of cases just straight lines. So we can fit the XTS into the machine or around the factory floor where it needs to go. And the XTS is super compact. With an on-top rail, we're talking 7 centimeters wide, so 2 inches, right? It's 40 centimeters tall, and if we use a typical working height of, say, 80 centimeters off the floor, the XTS, when vertically oriented, takes up 40 centimeters, and it leaves us 40 centimeters of room under the machine for stuff, for the mechanics, for the frame of the machine, or even for accessing things in the case of maintenance. I don't have everything packed right to the ground. I've got lots of room around the XTS. And then I can take and I can put the XTS anywhere. I can mount it horizontally, I can mount it vertically, I can put it at an angle, or I can do my favorite one, I can make it mobile. And we have customers who have mounted XTSs on moving structures. The XTS is light and it's small. In the case of this one with Denso, we've actually made the mover part of the end effector, and the whole kinematics can drive right around the mover end effector. So now I can drive my system endlessly. So what we have for you is we have an XTS that can be made and put into your machine wherever you need it, either on the factory floor with special custom layouts, or directly into the machine with a compact construction, and you can install it in any orientation so that you can make the most of the factory space that you already have.
I guess my colleague Toshimitsu is still smiling when he thinks of the Denso robot, which uses the XTS as an end effector. So kind regards to Japan. Because we have some visitors actually watching from Tokyo, we have some people from Egypt joining us, from Pakistan once again, from San Francisco, very early good morning I would say, from Finland. So once again all over the world, thanks for tuning in. Rob just gave an introduction into how you can design a machine which basically fits into every inch of your shop floor. You can do horizontal application, you can do customer-specific layouts, so really a lot of flexibility in terms of installing the XTS system. Once you have decided for a suitable mechanical layout, you might think about, now we need to do some programming. We actually need to prepare the setup of the application. And this takes a little bit of work, but everything which you can do, even before doing the first mechanical installation, can be wonderfully used to simulate the machine, simulate throughput maybe, and to make sure that your whole development process goes very, very fast. This is a topic which we would highlight, especially also adding another topic to that, because we are not only supporting a very fast setup of the machine, we are also making sure that a changeover of the products which are manufactured by the machine is possible, and the magic behind these two things is all inside our software. The next short video is also about that matter, so Rob looking on the capabilities of simulation and software-based product change.
Time to market. Time to market is critical. The faster I can get the product in the hands of my customer, the better, whether that's with the machine design or that's really the full concept from I've got a product, how do I build it, how do I get it into the field. The time to market, the faster that is, the better. So what can we do with an XTS? With an XTS, we try and take that idea to the concept, to the realization, and then into the field as quickly as possible. And we have lots of tools to help with this. For example, our simulation, right? I can build my entire machine. I can lay out all of my stations or my other independent machines and say, okay, how long does each function take? How long does each processing step take? And then I can determine, do I need 2 of these functions at a time? Do I need 4, 6, 8, 12? Whatever I need, I can lay that out. I can run my machine. I can test it. I can verify how long my XTS needs to be. I can verify how many movers I need to have. And I can do all of this before I've built anything. And then I can take that running code that runs my simulation and drop it in the machine. I can do the reverse as well. I can take the code that's running on the machine, put it in simulation to say, what happens if we change this? What happens if we remove station 3? What happens if I add another station 10 in the outside curve? We can test all of that before anything has to be built. With Beckhoff, we can also help with the entire Xts planning. We can help plan how big the XTS needs to be. We can plan how many movers there need to be, and we can also go through the electrical cabinet and say, all right, where do we want all the electrical connections? How much power do we need to supply? We can then assemble the entire XTS mechanics. So we take a machine bed, we mount the rail, we mount the motor modules, we mount the movers, and we deliver a fully finished system that's all been tested so that it arrives, you take it out of the box, mount it in your machine, drop your simulation code in, and you're ready to start testing and running. So here, now instead of you worrying about how do I build the XTS, how do I mount the rail, how do I fit everything in the machine, how do I have to mount all the movers, do I have everything lined up, is the machine bed flat enough? I focus on my machine and making my machine do what it's supposed to do. Prototypes, building a prototype machine is now quicker and easier. I order an XTS of X length with X number of movers, and now it arrives, I take it out of the box, and I put it on, and away it goes. All the movers have already been fitted, they've all been tested, and they've all been set to run. I know my costs for the assembly and the installation of the XTS up front, and I simply just put it in and run. I have a full plug-and-play solution. And this is exactly what one customer has done. They've taken the XTS, they've taken that simulation, what was shown before, and now they've added to it. And in fact, they have multiple XTSs in this system. It's a long system, several hundred movers are involved, and the entire system ran in simulation before they built it. So in about 3 days, they mounted the entire system, put all the product on, put all the holders on, ran the simulation code, and they have a full machine running at rate in 3 days after the first frame was mounted, including the synchronization to all of the other components in the system. With the XTS, I have the capability not just to make my machine faster and make it easier to build machines. I can make it easier for the end user to change the products that they're going to put on the XTS. Be they small products where I use 2 movers with a specific spacing, or do I go to a larger, medium-sized product, or even an extra large product? I just simply adjust the location of all my movers, and suddenly I can do lot size 1 and say this bag gets this much, the next bag gets that much. The other capability for the end user to adjust product size is by doing things here like using two movers together. So Kavana has done exactly this. They've taken it and said, okay, I want to put X number of cookies in a tube, and now I simply space the two movers closer together or further apart to have more product between them. If marketing comes along and says, we want to do a +2 sale so that every tube of cookies has 2 more in it, great. Small adjustment to the positioning of the movers, and I need the new foil to pack the product into, but now I have a full new SKU without changing anything. The other way to do things is the way, for example, ClickLock's done it. They don't use different mover spacing. They use different mechanics on the mover, but they've made a system where they can simply, with the push of a button, pop one mechanic system off, put another one on, and now they're ready to run the next product size. So yes, there's a changeover, but the changeover is extremely short. There's no chain to take out of the system. They go through about the 10 or 15 movers that are there, take the tooling off, put the new tooling on, and they're ready to go in a matter of minutes. The other way to do things is to change the entire machine. And maybe I don't know the processes that I'm going to do yet. So I lay out a system and say, I'm going to have X number of spaces where I can dock in a machine that does something. And then I can change the product that's being produced. I can change all the steps involved. I can add and remove things. I can make the things not yet invented. So I have a system, it's all set to go. Customers have even taken this one step further and not just had stations that dock on and off of the system, but contain the rail as well. So they take an entire section of XTS out, they make the machine shorter, or they put a module in the middle, make the machine longer, or swap modules. That's for doing complete assembly lines. So both ways are possible, and we have customers that do both. So we can reduce your time to market by simulating the operation of your machine, verifying that it's going to run before it's built, providing a fully assembled XTS that's ready to take right out of the box and mount in the machine. And then for the end users, as you change products or as you invent products in the future, your XTS is future-proof. All it has to be done is programming adjustments, or if it's already built in, simple push-button adjustments, and now we're ready to run different product on the same machine.
So I guess there is really no reason to back off from XTS, because you can do proof of concept in advance, you can adapt easily to changes of the market by a software-based tool change, and we can even help you with the installation. While Rob was talking about that matter, Annie sent us a question, and she was asking if it's possible to add additional length to an XTS system which is already in the field. And Rob already gave a partial answer on that, because it is really possible, but it should be considered in the initial design. So we have some customers who set up like 1 meter segments of XTS, and if they feel that there is a need for another station for more length of the XTS system, then they can just add another machine module to the existing system. So that's possible, but it should be considered before the first installation, because if you have one big milled steel block or aluminum block as a machine bed, it's hard to put something in there. This was now a short look on installation, on simulation, on the customer-specific trajectories which we had earlier. And now we would like to look at something which is completely new. So right from the beginning, it was always a topic if it's possible to add energy and data to the XTS mover, and now it's possible with the new NCT technology. And the next video is exactly about this NCT technology, where we think it will bring huge value and many new possibilities to applications all over the world and in all industries. So please enjoy the last video.
Our XTS, as stated, has been around now for 10 years. And we've always been able to move these little passive movers around the system. The movers themselves have not been able to do anything. It's basically, I take the mover and I move it to a specific position. Because there's no way really to transport cables around the system. That was the whole idea of the XTS, is to get rid of the cables. Well, now we bring us to the next step of the XTS. And we can now do this, again, with no cables. So we simply call this the no cable technology. This allows us wireless power transmission to the mover and communication to the mover in real time and quickly in real time. So at 4,000 times a second, we can talk to each individual mover. And this is simply an extension of the XTS. There's no need to throw out your existing old XTS. You can incorporate this into an existing system. The modules work together with the normal XTS modules. We put the power and the data modules where we need them. We don't have to have them in the entire XTS. They can be in specific sections where we need to perform functions, and everywhere else in the machine we use the normal XTS modules. What we bring to the mover now is up to 75 watts of peak power and 35 watts continuous power, as well as the capability to talk to basically anything on the mover. So what we've done is, in the past, we've taken the XTS, or we've taken original lines and we've put an XTS into the line, and we've shrunk the lines down, and we've eliminated a lot of conveying. And we end up with systems like this, right? Where I now have a much shorter XTS. I bring things directly from one station to the other, but now we have the capability to eliminate a station and say, I have a function and I want to put that function right on the mover. The mover is now active. And so I can completely eliminate station 3. It's processed. Well, I didn't eliminate it. I made a bunch of them and put them on each individual mover. But for the line length, that eliminates a station. So now I can perform specific functions on the mover underway. And one such example is orienting product. And in fact, some of you may remember from 2015, we had a big XTS that did exactly this. It oriented product. And we had a whole bunch of little cans running around, and we bring them into a station, stop, and orient the product. Well, here now we can take a camera, take a picture of the product, and while the mover's in motion, we can orient the can in whatever position you like. If they should all be the same, if they should be different, or should they line up and synchronize to another external process. We can directly coordinate the motion that's occurring on the mover with an external motion in the system. So now I can coordinate my movers to another process, and the movers can do things for themselves. Another way to reduce the footprint of the XTS is with load and unload. So usually we have a system where we've optimized the operation of the machine itself, but I now have special mechanisms that need to line up product, and a robot brings in X number of product, and a robot takes out X number of product, and maybe they change the grippers on it for different format changes, but I have to have a way to load and unload all those components. What we can do now is we can put the robot on the mover itself. So now the mover can pick its product, and the mover can place its product. So now I eliminate these complicated sections at the beginning and the end, and I can change basically wherever the mover parks. I can now drop a product. So I can change any orientation, any product layout that I want. I can now do that with the mover itself. And here we see it in action. This is a very simply based mover. We've put 2 motors on it, and we've built a little gripper. There's tons of different grippers that can be mounted on the mover. Basically anything you can imagine. If you can figure out how to make it go, you can mount it on the mover, we can power it, we can talk to it, and we can move it to pick up its product, run it through its processes, place it very accurately, and then go on to the next product. Eliminating all this extra complicated load-unload sequencing. And one place that this could be used is in the packaging industry, right? It's a lot of cases where we have irregular flow coming in, but it's not just in one row, it's in all over the place. And then we use a Delta robot to pick that and place it into packaging in a different layout, whatever grid's layout it's supposed to have. Well, the speed of the Delta is determined by the distance it has to travel. The further it has to travel, the longer it takes. What we can do is we can put a whole bunch of little robots onto the movers themselves. So now each mover is a very small Delta. Well, it's not a Delta, but it can be moved into a different location, and it can do its own picking and its own placing. And what that means is now I've decoupled the pick and place distance from the speed. So I can put my place as far away as I like, or even on the other side, and I don't lose any throughput. At the same time, I also have the capability to buffer a little bit. So if I have 30 movers with little pick and places on it, I can pick up 30 products, carry them, and then when the downstream system is ready, boom, I can go through and then place all of my products. Delta robots, I'm limited to the number of deltas for the number of product that I can have in process at any given time. And here's it running. So what we've done is we've taken an Xts Planer and an Xts, and we've put them together and said, okay, I'm going to pick from the Xts Planer in a regular pattern. We've used a camera, taken the pictures. The movers come in, figure out where they need to pick from, and the movers go through and place. And the picking and placing can be done very narrow. It's right together. We don't have these envelopes, operating envelopes to worry about. Really, the operating envelope from a mover is about 70 millimeters. So I can pick up the product, transport it wherever I need to, in whichever order I want, and then place it, or drop it off if it's not to be placed, and reject bins. So now we can do a lot of things, but it's not just picking and placing, it's not just rotating, pretty much anything that you can come up with. All of the Beckhoff's portfolio for I/O signals can fit onto the movers. So if you have special analog sensors, if you have weigh scales, resistor bridges, if we've got a sensor for it, we can now take that signal, bring it onto the mover, and communicate it back to TwinCat, and we can do it extremely quickly, up to 4,000 times a second. So we get all of our information back. We can heat something, we can weigh something, we can pick something. And then this allows you a lot of flexibility, whether you do the processing on the fly, whether you build up a multi-robot system, or if you're using measurements on the movers to verify product and do things like quality control. All of that's now possible directly on the mover without any cables.
I guess, and I hope that some ideas already popped up in your head about things which you can measure on the fly with an XTS mover with NCT technology, for example, or about how you can realize a very, very capable picking process by a combination of XTS and Xts Planar. By the way, for sure, that's my favorite XTS presenter. An innovative technology such as the XTS NCT technology needs for sure customers which are very curious about technology. But before we sell to customers, we of course have to sell to our global sales force. And therefore, I'm very happy that I have with me on stage, like virtually on stage, one of our colleagues from the sales force, Frank Würtner, who is taking care of the global Beckhoff packaging activities. So Frank, where are you? Can you hear me?
Yes, hello, Felix.
Perfect.
I hear you quite good. Yes, I'm on a travel trip in Austria. But during that times, it's very easy to get in touch with you via this internet tools.
Looks also like a very, very nice location where you are, and I guess you are visiting the next XTS customer?
Not really.
Okay, almost. But Frank, you have been an XTS fan since the very beginning. So I think the system was introduced in 2011. Can you maybe walk us a little bit through everything which happened since then?
Yes. So the first XTS was shown at the Interpack 2011, and we have a big success at that show, and a lot of people coming around, and we also was a little bit surprised that this new transfer system is a new tool for the packaging industry, and all the guys from the OEMs, from the machine builders, recognized very, very fast what this could be in the market. This was a big change to replace conveyors or belts. They are very, very long to speed up cookies or chocolate bars, something like that. and a lot of people recognized what's possible with that new transport system. It's called XTS, and now after 10 years, we can say it become absolutely a standard in the packaging industry.
A lot of work on making the XTS popular, but looking back on the history of the system and maybe now a little bit into the future of the system, what do you think will be the velocity of the adoption of the NCT technology, which Rob just introduced?
Yes, this would be a good question. Now it took nearly 6 to 8 years that XTS is in some parts of regions is a standard, and but this technology is now well known all over the world, in the automotive industry, in the packaging industry, in the pharma industry. We are really is XTS now a standard, and everybody knows this technology and knows the benefits. And now we have the power on the mover, and it makes things much more easier to grip something or transport a bottle from place one to place two. And I think it would be very, very fast in the market, because the XTS technology is a standard and pre-proven system. Everybody knows it, and the people just have waited to an energy consumption or to the NCT technology that we have power on the mover.
So XTS gets a new functionality where people have been asking for a very long time. I guess it's also kind of a call from your side to everybody. Get in touch with us, talk about XTS and NCT, because otherwise you could be late to the party, right?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So everybody knows now the XTS technology, and so this is a new feature. It's not a new technology, but the technology is well known in the market, and this feature will be also very, very rapidly a standard in the market.
Standard is maybe something interesting. Earlier you told me that the construction of machine with XTS becomes a little bit easier. Can you maybe talk a little bit about your experience with the mechanical engineers who are using XTS to construct a machine these days?
Yeah, when we started with XTS in the market, also our partners at the OEM customers changed, because normally we are a company who is doing a lot of electrician things and software engineering and not mechanical parts. But the XTS is both of both. So you also need the mechanical department around the table, and when they have accepted this technology, then they realized what can be changed in the machine, because this is a core unit. Yeah? XTS is absolutely a core unit in a filling machine or a pharma machine, and that is very important for all customers, that the mechanical department, the design department, they are able now to make the machines a little bit smaller. The footprint is going down, or the machine is going, the size of the machine is going down. And this is only possible with the mechanical departments.
Maybe to comprehend now a little bit on what you said and what Rob said earlier. So XTS is more than 10 years in the market now. We have a lot of experience about applications. It's well used in different industries, all sorts of functionalities. Really every aspect can be covered. Mechanical people really like it because it has become a standard there, and now we even have a new feature. Did I forget anything?
Not really, not really. Yes, I think the NCT technology become very, very fast, or raised the market very, very fast. And we are happy that we can go to the customers and present that new NCT technology.
So, and if you would like now to get in touch with Frank to talk about NCT, he will be for sure your man once he's back from Austria. Frank, thank you very much for taking part in the event and for freeing up some time. Have a nice day and see you soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye, Frank. Okay, this is almost the end of today. Before we say goodbye, I would like to give a very short teaser on tomorrow. Today it was purely about XTS. Tomorrow it will be about my favorite intelligent transport system, the Xplanar. And we would like to have a look on sustainable automation technology, well, at least the sustainable aspects of our Xplanar system, about the possibilities of machine layout extension with Xplanar, about the mechanical installation, so once again something for the mechanical guys maybe, and about traceability, where Rob talked about yesterday, is really a key component for modern food or pharma machines. So if any of these topics are interesting for you, or if you just would like to watch us once again talking about maybe Canadian ice hockey or something else, we would love to have you back tomorrow at 4 p.m. UTC +1. If you want to watch it in German, you can do this at 8:30 a.m. in the morning, UTC +1 once again. Thank you very much so far, and we look forward to get in touch with you. Bye-bye, and see you soon.
As long as we got love, we'll never